What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Excuse me. This is going to be your review for Greenleaf, season 4, episode 6. All I have to say, honey, is oh, what a tangled web we weave when we first practice to deceive, baby. Everybody on this show lying. Everybody lying. Everybody got secrets. Bishop the only one that got happy at the end, honey. Bishop, well, he ain't the only one. But Bishop came out on top at the end. Let's go on and talk through this thing here. So we start the episode off where we left off last week with Grace telling her mama everything because she needed mama help. And I was a little surprised at Lady May's response. It was very docile. It was very sympathetic. It was very much, okay, it happened. It was a terrible thing. You were young. You know, I'm sorry you had to go through that on your own. I'm sorry that this young man had such a horrible life. But you know what? Bring him over. I want to meet my grandson. Everything is everything. Oh, but we can't tell nobody. And then who of all people comes down the stairs in the middle of this conversation is that daggone Charity. Ooh, that Charity. That's a dirty. Ooh, she dirty. That's dirty. So Charity rolls up and she's like, what's going on here? And Lady May says, I'm going to tell you, but you can't say nothing. And of course she talking about something, well, who am I supposed to, who am I going to tell? Phil! You can't wait to run and tell Phil. So they tell Charity what's up. And then they tell Bishop. And Bishop recalls a phone call he got from Gigi about 25 years ago asking for money. And Bishop said, I'm going to come and get you and bring you home. She was living in Chicago at the time. And Gigi said no and basically ended the call. Now Bishop said at the time he thought she was being ornery and stubborn and just wanting to stand on her own 2 feet. He said, but I realized now that she was scared and lonely and pregnant. And I wish I had followed my first instinct and went up there to get her. Maybe we could have avoided all of this. And once again, Lady May was like, yeah, but it is what it is. That is water under the bridge, and we're going to have to handle it from here. You know, we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do. Now, over to the church, Jacob shows up. He's got a meeting with Phil. Honey, Phil done fired him. Phil said, look, you only here on a wing and a prayer from your sister. But this is just way too much. And what I'm not understanding is, to me, in the video, it's clear that he's trying to break the fight up. I understand how social media, because it's all over the internet, honey. I understand how social media is going to take stuff and move it in their direction. But what I'm not understanding is that people with cooler heads looking at that video and not realizing that he was actually trying to break that fight up. But neither here nor there, honey. He done got fired. So he texts Clarissa and lets her know, I done got fired from my second job in 2 days, honey. So he went from 2 jobs to 0 jobs in 48 hours, honey. We'll get back to them. In the meantime, Charity rolls up into Phil's office like the cat that ate the canary. And she is grinning from ear to ear. And she can't wait to tell him about Grace's secret son. And Phil says, you know what? This is information that could go either way. Depending on how it's presented, depending on what the story is behind it, it could go either way. It could be, she was a scared, lonely teen that put the baby up for adoption and now they've reunited. Or it could be salacious. And, he said it ain't like she had an abortion. I mean, she gave the baby up for adoption. People would forgive that. And so, Charity says, well, what is it that we need to turn this our favor to make this, And he said, well, we need a story that's not a great story. And she said, well, he just got out of jail. Phil said, well, that's more about him. That's not about Grace per se. He says, we need more. That's a great start, but we need a little bit more. So she coming up out of Phil's office grinning like a little, grinning like I said, like the cat that ate the canary. And she runs into Jacob. Jacob was like, oh, you in trouble too? You coming up out of Phil's office? And she makes up a lie about she didn't call Judy again. And he was like, but I could have sworn I heard them practicing the song, she said, they stupid, honey. But she, trying to, she ain't a great liar on her feet. But Jacob is so caught up in what he got going on that he knows something ain't right, but he just kind of lets it roll, because everybody just think Charity flighty anyway. So it is what it is. Grace comes rolling up in the church, honey. She's trying to call AJ because Lady Mae wants him to come over for dinner so the whole family can meet him and she can see what's what and who's who. She can't get in touch with the boy. He ain't answering her phone calls or nothing. All of a sudden, she gets this phone call from an unlisted number. And who is it? AJ. Where is he? At the police department. Why? Because he is suspect in a robbery. Grace gets down there, honey. And he's asking her for an alibi. Now, I thought this was crazy. This whole situation is crazy, y'all. Now, I'm not a police officer. I've never been to the police academy. But what I do believe is that this boy, young man, is a suspect in a robbery of a pharmacy, stealing a whole lot of pharmaceuticals, okay? And they just gonna let him have a conversation with the woman that he claims is his alibi so they can just fix up the alibi? Never seen such a thing. But okay. He basically said, look, I was at home, but I can't prove it. Can you just say that you were with me? So she's talking to the detective. And, she's telling the detective, she's listening or whatever. And she's, trying to avoid lying. But the detective asked her outright, look, were you with him at the time, between this hour and that hour? And she hesitates a little bit. And she just finally says, yes, I was. And the detective was like, Pastor, what you doing at this boy house those hours of the night? So then she has to sort of confess that she's his mother. That should have automatically eliminated her alibi anyway. Because they don't take alibis from parents. Because they know mamas will lie for their churn. Mamas will lie for their churn all the way down to the gas chamber, okay? Electric chair. So I don't even know why they took her word for it once she said that was her son. So then the detective reminds her, well, you know how this process works. Remember when you were here last year about that little incident with your uncle? I knew somebody was going to bring that up, And I ain't going to lie, I thought about that when she rolled up on the police station. I was thinking, bad memories for you. But he ends up recording her given the alibi, but she goes on and gives the boy the alibi, and the police release him into her custody. Now, when they look at the video, they have the suspect on video, and they have his fingerprints at the pharmacy. He's a dumb crook, okay? Who the hell in this day and age robs anywhere without some gloves on? But okay, but all they can see in the video is the hoodie, and of course the hoodie matches his description. I was like, y'all don't see no nasty dreads sticking out from the side? Because that would be a dead giveaway. But neither here nor there. Grace takes the baby home. And they end up going straight to the estate, honey. And everybody's happy to see him. Because, of course, nobody knows that she just picked him up from the police station. Lady Mae takes him down to the cottage to meet Zora. And she goes back up to the main house to kind of talk to Grace a little bit. First thing out of Zora's mouth is, you want to get high? So this child, she just don't have no coof about herself. But anyway, back over to Miss Clarissa. Now look, let me tell y'all something about Clarissa ass. I'm not even sure how I feel about Clarissa, okay? Because Clarissa did what she felt like she had to do. But on the other hand, so she goes back to pick up the check from the people that they bought the land from. And she tells the guy, look, I know that y'all are Hope and Harmony Ministries. And he said, no, we're a private LLC. She said, yeah, LLC that's owned by Hope and Harmony. Like, I already know what the dealio is. She said, and how much is it worth to you to keep the secret? So he kind of calls her bluff a little bit. And he's like, look, I mean, at the end of the day, you done already sold us the land, so it don't really matter. She said, but what are your plans for the land? Like, what is it that you're trying to do? She said, I'm just going to call my husband now. He said, go ahead and call the husband. So when she realizes that it's not gonna work, he done called her bluff. Now she goes to crying, and she basically lets him know, look, my husband done lost 2 jobs in 2 days, and my mother-in-law makes my life miserable. I have got to get out of that house, and the check that you gave me is not gonna cut it. I need to buy this house. What you gonna do? How much is it worth to you? So he goes over to his little checkbook, honey, and he cuts her a check. Now, I don't know whatever check he cut her, but it was enough to make her eyes bulge, and it was more than enough for her to buy this house. And he says, now, of course you know this means that you need to keep that little bit of information to yourself. She was like, of course. Then he starts flirting with her, talking about if I was your man, you would never have to want for anything, need for anything. I would take care of you. I would do this. I would do that. Blah, blah, blah. He said, can we see each other again? Clarissa was like, I don't know why we need to see each other again. He said, I don't know, whatever he said. But she said, we'll talk about it when the check clears. Now, here's the thing, Clarissa. This man has made it very clear what his intentions are. So you know that whatever move you make is your next move. You already know what you're getting yourself into. Now, over to Jacob's house. Jacob he's scrolling through his phone. And who he looking up on his phone? Tasha Skanks. That story ain't over. Clarissa shows up, and of course she's in a good mood, honey. She got this check. She gonna buy this house. She lies to Jacob and tells Jacob that she done found some pennies under the cushion, honey, and was able to scrape up and get enough money to go on and buy this house. She says, I want to take you out to dinner to celebrate. Jacob says, we can't do that. Mama just called. We got to go over to the house. And she was like, no. You're going out with me. I am your wife. You're going to put me first for once. He said, I just found out I got a nephew. Grace got a son. I got to go to the house and get this whole figure out what's going on. She said, you can't put me first just once. Like that can wait. You are supposed to take care of me. Because, of course, what that man then said to her is ringing in her head, right? You supposed to take care of me. He tells her, look, I got to go to the house. I got to figure out what's going on. I got to meet this nephew, this long-lost nephew that I never knew about. And that's what I'm doing. So he getting ready to leave, and she not going with him. And he said, are you coming with me? She said, does it look like I'm coming with you? Honey, soon as he walked out that door, what'd she do? Call that man up. What'd she do? Go over there, had a little champagne, and next thing you know, he done put the champagne down. He done started kissing on her neck. She said, what you doing? He said, you know what I'm doing. Like I said, when you made that phone call, you knew what the dealio was. He made it very clear what he wanted from you. It was no mistakes, no misunderstandings. He made it very clear what his intentions were. And next thing you know, honey, they doing the horizontal tootsie on that couch right in his office. Okay, Clarissa. You have given up the high ground. You no longer can throw in your husband's face his affair. Well, he had more than one, but that's neither here nor there. Y'all are on even ground now. You no longer have the high ground. Now, I ain't going to say I'm mad at you for doing what you did. It's your business. I ain't here to judge you. But you have now given up the high ground, and you no longer can throw this on this man. Now, back over to the estate. Lady Mae has gone from so happy to finally meet her grandson and all that entails to, little boy, did you rob that pharmacy and did you set my daughter up for your alibi? Because she has not lost sight of what the big picture is, and the big picture is getting that daggone church back. And Grace is supposed to be the good one, and if Grace ends up in trouble, ain't none of them got a shot. So now Lady Mae went from thinking that this whole thing is going to work out to, because the police showed up. That's what had happened. The police showed up and basically said, we have some new information. And what they did was they have the videotape of Grace talking to AJ when she got to the police station. And they said, look, there's no sound there, but we can pretty much figure out how that conversation went down. But Grace stuck to her guns, and she said that he was with her and that she is his alibi. But everybody knows she's lying. Everybody knows she's lying. And so Lady Mae is pissed. And Lady Mae is like, look, he's going to create now. I was cool when we had the happy homecoming story, but now that we adding in a felony, and now you perjuring yourself, we got a whole nother problem. We got a whole nother situation. And she asked him straight up, did you do it? And he starts going off about how dumb would he be to rob the store and this, that, and the other. She said, yeah, all right, whatever. But did you do it? And he starts talking about, I can't believe you would ask me that. Why would you question me? And Grace tried to intervene and said, Mama, back up off of him. Mama said, I got this. She said, okay, at the end of the day, did you do it? So then Bishop tries to smooth it over, and he said, look, my wife means well, my ex-wife, the woman who I still love, by the way, means well, but son, we need to know, did you rob that daggone store? And he looks to him, and he looks at her, and you know how he get that dumb look on his face, like he don't know what to say. And Lady Mae lets him know. She said, look, let me tell you something. I love me some Lady Mae. There are times when I love that woman, and there's times when I hate her. But when I tell you in this moment right here, I loved her, she said, let me tell you something. She said, I don't care if you have slept with murderers for the last 5 years. You have never met a more formidable opponent than me. I can be your best advocate, but I can be your worst enemy. And I promise you, you've never met anyone like me, and you don't want me on your bad side. I said, now, of course, I can't say it the way she said it, because she said it so eloquently. But the point is still the same. That little boy didn't know where he was coming or going. He ended up running up out of there. Lady Mae said, well, there go your answer. He couldn't look me straight in my face and tell me point blank, period, did he do it? And, of course, now Grace is feeling all kinds of stupid, because Grace knew he was lying, but that pretty much just solidified the whole situation. And, of course, now she's feeling real stupid. And then who the hell come walking in the door? That damn Charity. Why Charity go and get one of them balloons that you can get from the dollar store talking about some it's a boy? Grace was like, really? It's a boy? She said, well, they didn't have no it's a man. That damn Charity so ignorant. She said they ain't had no it's a man balloons. But what ended up happening was Charity got the whole scoop. And Charity, once again, couldn't wait to run her happy tail right on over to the church to let Phil know what was what. And she told Phil the whole thing. And then Phil said, yeah, but we don't have any proof that she's lying about the alibi. Charity does. She done got it on tape, honey. Now, I didn't remember Grace admitting that she lied, but I guess she did. Somewhere in all the melee, she must have admitted that she lied about the alibi. Now, Jacob is sitting up waiting for Clarissa. See how the shoe was on the other foot now? And she rolls up in there talking about she was hanging out with her friend, and he could tell she done had a couple of cocktails, honey. And he kind of in the mood, and I feel like he knows she's lying too. The worst thing you can do is use your friend as an alibi, and don't tell your friend that you the alibi. Especially if that's going to be the first person that your significant other is going to call. The best friend is always going to be the first one you call. If the best friend ain't ready with the alibi, you going to get caught every time. And I feel like whoever she said she said she was with, he didn't already talk to, but he put that in his back pocket. Because he was a little too, I feel like he knew something wasn't right. Right? I don't know what he knew, but so he said he had to run on over to Calvary to pack up his office. Now, why he decided to go over there in the middle of the night to pack up his office, I don't know. But once he got there, what he saw, right? Charity and Phil. Because after Charity gave Phil all this information in the phone with the recording on it, honey, then Phil said, look, you are so beautiful. Next thing you know, they doing they tongue wrestling, okay? And who walked up and saw it? Jacob. So now Jacob knows that Charity and Phil are in cahoots. And they in cahoots for real cahoots. It's so much line going on. It's so much deceit, honey. You can't even hardly keep up with it. Back down to the estate, Lady Mae and Bishop laid up in the bed, honey. And y'all know the Lady Mae ain't been letting Bishop, spend the night. He been in his private quarters. He tells her, and Bishop is a player. Bishop is a little player, y'all. Bishop tells her the story of this woman that his friend wanted to set him up with, and how he couldn't wait to meet her, and how he had envisioned in his mind how beautiful she was, and how perfect they would be together, and how wonderful their life would be once they, finally got it together and solidified everything. And when he met her, it was more than he could ever imagine. She was more woman than he ever could have imagined her to be. And she was like, so she getting a little attitude, right? Because I know she's trying to figure out, okay, is he talking about me or is he talking about somebody else? She said, and what exactly is the moral of that story? He said, well, sometimes in life, things turn out better than you expect them to. She said, well, then who was this woman you talking about? He said, who you think? So as soon as he does that, she get to smiling and grinning, right? He hit her with the, I'm tired. Guess I better go on and get back to my room. She say, Bishop, you can stay here tonight. Bishop, I saw that. That was a smooth move. It worked too, because you've been trying to get in that bed for months. Now, I don't know what you're going to do when you get there, but you got into the bed. Grayston tracked down AJ. AJ is at the apartment packing up, honey, and we see him with a bag full of pharmaceuticals. He packing up to leave. Grace shows up. He lets Grace in. He said, what, you done bought the cops? She said, no. What are you doing? I'm leaving. She gonna say, you know that's gonna violate your parole. Now, what we found out at the police station was that Grace had worked something out to get his parole moved from Arizona to Memphis, right? So him violating the parole is not only going to violate his parole, but it's going to put her on the line, because she had to do something to finagle something to get something happening, right? She was real calm about that, because I would have been like, no, you going to stay your tail right here, because that's my name on the line. But neither here nor there. She says, well, where you going to go? He's like, I don't know. Well, she tries to get him to stay, and he's like, no, I can't stay here. Which is even if whether he's guilty or not, that's going to make him look way more guilty than, whatever he is or not. Next thing you know, honey, she going to throw him her car keys. She going to give him her car keys, talking about something, here, take my car, you be safe. Now, I know good and damn well that boy ain't got no license. He just got out of jail. He can't possibly have a valid driver's license. And if he does, it ain't valid in Tennessee. It might be Arizona valid, but it ain't Tennessee valid. I said, Grace, what the hell is wrong with you? And I don't know a mother's love, y'all. I'm going to go on and tell you, I don't know a mother's love. But I was sitting there like, Grace, if you ain't the dumbest. Now, when he's getting ready to walk out the door, he ends up throwing some keys back at her. Now, what I can't tell if those are the apartment keys or if he threw her car keys back at her. I really don't know. But neither here nor there, the boy gone. The boy gone. Phil got to tape her line about the alibi. And Clarissa done had an affair. It's a whole lot going on, okay? Honey, let's see what goes down next week. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.